Joining me now, Democratic Congresswoman Maxine Waters of California. The Reverend Al Sharpton, host of MSNBC's Politics Nation, founder and president of National Action Network, and author of Righteous Troublemakers, Untold Stories of the Social Justice Movement in America. Tim Miller, host of the Bulwark podcast and MSNBC political analyst, and Michelle Goldberg, opinion columnist at the New York Times and also an MSNBC political analyst. This is fantastic to have all four of you on the show today. Congresswoman Waters, I'm starting with you because you predicted years ago, you said, I'm counting on Stormy. What do your reaction to Thursday's incredible verdict?
Thank you so very much for having us all on today. Let me just say it's a sad day for this country. I'm still shocked and amazed that his supporters would follow him with the lies and distortions that he continues to give to the American people. He says it's rigged. He says if they can do this to me, they can do it to you, bringing in others to cover the lies that he's telling. I'm amazed that those who claim to be so patriotic are so unpatriotic. I'm watching not only what happened in January 6th in Washington, D.C., but what is happening now. And men and women in the Republican Party don't have the courage nor the patriotism to stand up for democracy and what's good for America and understand and be able to honestly say to the American public that this used to be president, this former president is wrong. Whenever he loses, wherever he loses, he'll say it's rigged. He'll say that somehow he doesn't deserve to have to be lawful. Well, as the president said, no one is above the law. Those jurors on that jury are to be commended for what they have done. You had 7 men and 5 women who stepped up to the plate and did the hard work and rolled out to America and told America the truth. This man is guilty, not 1 time, 2 times, and 3 times, but on all 30 pounds. That's amazing.
Right. 34 times. As you were speaking, Congresswoman, you probably weren't able to see him beforehand, but he was nodding in agreement when you were talking about Republicans not having the courage to stand up to stand up for the truth. Tim, what's up with these folks?
And it's worse than that. What I was really nodding about is when Congresswoman Waters was talking about how they're being unpatriotic. I mean, it's hard to even imagine this as somebody that grew up as a Republican. You'd think that it used to be the Republicans are like, if you turned the flag upside down and attacked the FBI and said that the U.S. justice system is rigged and that we're a banana republic, I mean, that would have been anathema to people in the Republican Party for years. And it was about American pride and respecting our institutions, respecting our systems. Now these people sound like anarchists. They are authoritarian. They want to tear down the entire justice system. You had Tim Scott there in your lead-in talking about how the justice system is hunting Republicans. This is absurd. Hunter Biden starts on trial, the president's son, in 2 days.
Right. And Rev, when we played that soundbite of Senator Scott talking about, vengeance and everything, you were like, whoa. Your reaction to that?
I don't know how you take just blatant lies and then end your comment quoting the Bible. That's why I said, well, that was a little difficult for me. But let me say this that I think we need to underscore. This whole case was about a man trying to cover his deeds because he wanted to win an election in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. And he had been exposed with the Access Hollywood tape where he talked about how you deal with women is to grope them, and I'm cleaning up what he really said, but many Americans have seen that. And if the Stormy Daniels affair had come out on top of that, it would have probably defeated him in his own mind. Now, the reason that is important is he was running against Hillary Clinton, talk about lock her up, about things that were absolutely ridiculous, some server at her house or something. He was saying lock her up. Fast forward to now, we find 34 felonies and you've got Republicans saying, how dare you? That's how he got there, accusing somebody of a crime and covering up his crime when there was no crime. And what's at stake for America is if Hillary Clinton had become president, we wouldn't have had 3 Supreme Court justices that overturned Roe versus Wade, hurt voting rights, and turned down affirmative action. That was the difference for people that said voting doesn't matter.
And Michelle, let me bring you in here before we go to a break, because I'm going to read something to you from The Cut. And it said, if Donald Trump ends up in a jail cell this year, it will be thanks in part to the remarkable testimony of a porn star whom he's been doing everything in his power to shame, silence, and discredit for 8 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, and she has been through hell and has been so brave and so steadfast. And the fact that she testified at all is evidence of Donald Trump's unbelievable self-defeating stubbornness. There was actually no reason for her to testify, except that Donald Trump's defense insisted not only that there was nothing illegal about the hush money scheme, but that he hadn't slept with her at all. It's just this kind of lies on top of lies, which can be a little bit more than a little bit. They're often numbing in the political sphere, but we've seen that they don't work in the legal sphere.
You know, I want to bring up something that Speaker Johnson said, his reaction to the verdict. Let's play that, and then we'll talk about it.
I do believe the Supreme Court should step in. Obviously, this is totally unprecedented, and it's dangerous to our system. I think that the justices on the court, I know many of them personally, I think they're deeply concerned about that as we are. So I think they'll set this straight, but it's going to take a while. You're right. The process takes a while to play out. This will be overturned, guys. There's no question about it. It's just going to take some time.
Tim, the Supreme Court, do they have any jurisdiction over that? What is he talking about?
I mean, these guys have become so presumptuous that they really do think that the Supreme Court is a political arm that is just going to do their bidding. I mean, that is how they act. That is how they treat the Supreme Court. That is how Samuel Alito acts when he feels like he can just go to Fox and lie about what happened, with the flag outside his house. So I think that, no, they don't have any jurisdiction, but that's just one lie about this whole process. Tim Scott, going back to Tim Scott, he said that the Biden administration did this prosecution when it was a DA. There was no DOJ involvement about this. So they don't understand the system, or they're blatantly lying about it.
And Reb, the thing that jumped out at me, even more so than just the entire thing of what the speaker just said, is when he said, I know many of them personally.
That's right. I know many of them personally, implying that they and he are on the same page, that they're not going to be making a judicial decision, is that they're aligned politically, and in this case, maybe aligned in terms of Donald Trump. Because why would you even say, I know them personally, when you're saying that they ought to be ruling on fairness of law?
On the merits.
It is to confirm what many of us have suspected, that these were political nominees based on some partisan commitment, and that is why we have deep concerns about this court.
Everybody, Congresswoman, real fast.
Okay, you started out talking about, I had predicted this. I knew Stormy was a very strong woman and that she was not going to take it from Donald Trump. And she stepped forward detail by detail, and I expected her to do that. And because of her, this case has gotten to where it had gotten to. And she was the one that caused them to discover that he had lied on and filed false documents.